And there's the record. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Believe in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys, Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And there's been a lot of news flying around about the Indianapolis Colts this past week after the hiring of former offensive coordinator, now head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, Shane Steichen. Looks like he's trying to fit his offensive staff together. A lot of moves, a lot of talks about. One of them hasn't necessarily happened yet. We've already got a running backs coach. We've already got a tight ends coach. Looks like we've got an offensive coordinator in the making, and there's a possibility we may end up losing a very much loved coordinator on this team to another AFC team here in the next coming days. But before we get into all that, just real quick, Jerraud, how you been doing this past week?
Been doing good, busy, same old story with the kids, traveling, sports. It's just a lot, but a lot of fun. Sun is back out down south, so it's a little warm this week. So, it always puts you in a good mood.
Yeah. Talk about the sun. There is none here. It all came up to us, and now it's just downpour and thunderstorms.
We had all that rain last week, so
yeah.
y'all, you enjoy that.
We will. We promise. Rodney, how's it going with you, my guy?
I'm doing well, man. Hanging in there. Tired, but all is well. Just a lot of stuff going on, foundation right now. So a lot of meetings, just busy, but using the off season to the best of my abilities and enjoying the time off.
Awesome. Why don't you, I was just curious if you could go ahead and remind the listeners out there a little bit about your foundation and how it's doing and all that neat stuff. A little update on it.
Yeah, we started our foundation in 2020. We've, made a lot of progress, but still young, very geared towards, youth development and removing a lot of those labels that have been placed, in the underserved communities, and just really trying to focus on areas of education, youth development, health and wellness, and community empowerment. Got a few programs that we kicked off, mentorship programs going well here in Philly. Have our second annual Youth Leadership Summit coming up this upcoming May. So we're excited, man, about what's in store and got our big fundraising gala. If you boys, are ever on this East Coast, want to come out in the summertime, it's a nice event. Ask everybody to come out in their favorite kicks. And dress to impress, but just a good time to raise some money for the kids.
Sounds awesome. Was you getting ready to say something, Jerraud?
No, I was just about to say, following Rodney's Instagram story page in the off season, I saw you posted earlier about working out, and I think it was you and the wife working out and doing all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta find ways to stay active. That's a little bit different from your normal day-to-day activity. So I used to switch up my workouts and try something new just to keep me engaged and in shape as well.
Yeah, man. We hit that rumble up this morning. That was intense. and they're on the bags and everything and the core. So it was good. You got to spend some different, quality time, with the wife in different areas. So we both like fitness and it worked out.
Awesome. Hey, I want to remind everybody that BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season, from the NBA, NFL, baseball, you name it, they've got it. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. So we're going to jump in real quick for a possible. It looks like the Indianapolis Colts are going to lose a coordinator, a well-loved coordinator, not only in the building but as fans as well. With the Cleveland Browns reaching out, asking to interview former Cleveland player Bubba Ventrone, and as many of you know, he was the special teams coordinator. Rodney, you worked under him for quite a bit this past season. Do you have any thoughts about Bubba and him going over to Cleveland and what they'd be gaining with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said a lot about Bubba, in past episodes, but he is truly respected in this league. He's been able to have a long career as a special teams player, and then he's doing the same now as a special teams coach. And he has a great resume that he's been able to put on display, and helped the Indianapolis Colts, win a lot of games over the years. So, if he does end up taking a job in Cleveland, as reports are saying that, they're losing, someone who's meant a lot and had a lot of impact in that building, through not as a coach, but obviously his impact, as a human being, I think, around the building. And so, Cleveland will be gaining a great man and even better coach.
Absolutely. Jerraud, losing a guy like Bubba Ventrone, the Colts special teams units has been one of the best in the league for the last few years, ever since he's been the offensive coordinator. How hard do you think it would be for the Colts to Shane Steichen to fill that spot?
I think it'll be hard, just like what Rodney said, just far as the impact he had on the team. Now, I don't think it'll be hard to find another special teams coach, but to find one that will be just as good and have the impact, that he had, I think it is going to be a difficult spot, because whenever you got a new staff in, normally it's a few guys left from the old staff that kind of fit with the new transition that's going on, and you would hope that someone with the voice that he had and the respect that he had within the organization, that he would hang on and stay. And it's kind of, when you see coaches making lateral moves, it kind of makes me wonder a little bit that was maybe some feelings involved when the interim coach was hired, when everybody thought that Shane was probably, I mean, that he was going to probably get that interim job, and does he want out of Indy? It just makes me think about a lot of other different type of feelings and emotions that could come up, especially in the off season when you're trying to do what's best for your career. I always tell people all the time, it's always certain points of the season and the off season in particular, to where you got to kind of be selfish and do what you got to do to better your career and be happy and find your peace. And if that's what he has to do, is make a lateral move to go back to Cleveland, somewhere that he's familiar with, and have that same impact that he had in Indy, but be happy, on the other side, I wish him well and wish him the best, but I definitely think it's going to be hard to fill that void.
Oh, absolutely. You make a great point. When Frank Reich was let go and the interim coach was up in the air, there was a lot of people saying that Bubba should have been very much at the top of that list for the interim. Him and Gus, right?
Mm-hmm.
With how they had you know had their units performing over the season. So
Yeah.
big points there.
And special teams is big, man. I think
Mhm.
a lot of us undervalue that unit and how important it is. But a great example of that was the Super Bowl. Where you
Mhm.
saw the difference. Probably,
Mm.
one of the biggest plays of the game that set up Kansas City to take the lead was a punt return. So, we often overlook the impact that a special teams unit can have on the game. But I think for Indianapolis, they were able to see that over the years, through Bubba.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Shane did have the ability to over the weekend hire a couple position coaches, namely DeAndre Smith, who was the running backs coach for the New York Giants last year. And before that, it was just a long list. I'm not going to go through the list because it's a different college almost every year for the last 20 years. Okay. but it's just a different college after different college being running backs coach. And uh, my question is, when a guy has went through that many colleges, what's the pluses and minuses of seeing a guy who's went through that many colleges in such a long period of time?
Well, for one, you get to work with a lot of different people, so you get different perspectives about football from that particular position. So it only helps you gain knowledge, gain more wisdom about how you conduct your room, how you're handling your business, how you're coaching players or whatnot. A lot of times people look at some guy's resume and see that they've been a lot of places, and the first thing you think is like, man, is this guy getting fired everywhere he goes? Is he's a bad fit everywhere he goes and all that? And that's not the case. I have a roommate in college that was my roommate 4 years in college, and he jumped right into coaching right after college. And, I want to say it's been 10 or 11 years. He's probably been at like 7 or 8 different schools. And it's just where the opportunity lies. That's just where you're going. Like Rodney said, when the opportunity presents itself, if you think that's the move that's going to help further your career, you're going to do that, personally. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he can handle another great running back. Obviously, what we saw from Saquon, this past year made us remember the old Saquon. I know Saquon's been battling injuries for the most part, but to see his explosiveness and see how he was running the ball and the success that he had this year, maybe DeAndre was one of the main reasons why Saquon is now probably going to end up being one of the highest paid running back in the league when it's all said and done. So maybe he can have that same impact with JT. We know JT had some injuries this year that, was our first time seeing him, kind of not being the JT that we know. So maybe he'll bring that life to JT as well.
Absolutely, Rodney. You got a firsthand look this year against a Mr. Saquon Barkley, right?
Yeah.
What did you think of the running game that DeAndre Smith had brought with the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, I really thought he did a excellent job there. With Saquon, you saw the Saquon of old. As if he looked like a rookie again, and how explosive he was, and his dynamic capabilities. And so he was a huge reason why they had a lot of success. I think that running back group as a whole, unfortunately in our game, we gave up a lot of yards on the ground, particularly late in the game, and Saquon wasn't in the game. It was their backup. And so, when you have that level of depth, and you feel comfortable bringing in your number 2, number 3, and they're still, as effective or close to the starter, I think that really speaks to, coaching. Right. And so even though he has, a track record of being at so many places, maybe for short spans of time, like Jerraud said, I think it's just where the opportunity takes you. Right. If, looking at his resume, a lot of it that happened in college, and maybe his trajectory was to now be here in the league. And, he had to climb the ladder in a way that, on his way to the league, this is what was asked or required of him. And so I, have great confidence that he's going to step into a room, with honestly probably one of the best running back groups in the league, with JT and Zach Moss right there. And so, you have to like what he's going to bring to the table in addition with what already exists in the locker room.
Absolutely. Another guy that they went out and got over the weekend was uh, Tom Manning. Tom, the only other stint he had in the NFL was with the Indianapolis Colts back in 2018, with back when Eric Ebron was here and had his best year of his career. Outside of that, he played. He was, coaching over in Toledo, and then a lot of times the offensive coordinator for Iowa State. Now he's brought in as the tight ends coach. Guys, any thoughts about Tom Manning and what he could bring to the table here in Indy?
I don't know much about him, but I know he's walking into a situation where that tight end room can become special. You got some young guys in there that really, showed some things this year, and if that's what our organization brass think that we need as the head of that tight ends room to kind of fulfill all of that potential that we have in there. I believe in him. Like I said, I don't know much, so I don't want to speak, too much as if I do know about him, but I know he has a young special room that can end up being, a great group of tight ends that we have.
Yeah, there was a couple. So Iowa State they just had their two best tight end duo in history. They're going into they just uh, they had Charlie Kohler and Chase Allen left and moved on to the NFL this past year, and that maybe that's something, one of the reasons why, I mean, he's able to coach up guys well enough to where they can actually make the NFL, right? I mean, that's kind of a thought process. And then of course, in college, tight ends are used quite a bit, right? And in different situations. What are your thoughts there, Rodney?
Yeah, I think my thoughts are he's walking into the room that has a great, potential to be, as Jerraud said, one of the best trios in the league. I think we have a tight end group with plethora of skill sets, right? When you think of Mo, you think of Jelani and Colin as well. They all are very gifted and are unique in its own. And so, if you're talking about a guy who has some history there of being able to establish tight ends, but more importantly, I think you're looking just how do you maximize their skill sets and get the most out of your players as you coach them. And so if he has that sort of ability and characteristics, I think it's going to be a great relationship that'll last for some time.
Absolutely. There was a couple. There's an additional tight end on the roster that did not get to play this past year for the
Oh
Indianapolis
yeah,
Colts.
Ogletree. Yeah, Tree.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Tree's gonna
Andrew.
be nice, man. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I go ahead and add four to the rotation. It could be very spooky, man. Tree is yeah, I like him.
What was your thoughts on Andrew Ogletree during training camp and all that when you was opposite him, I mean, you're a safety, he was a tight end. What'd you think about Andrew Ogletree?
Physical and confident. Those are the two things that really stood out to me. Initially just looking at him, kind of went under the radar, but quickly, and I would add playmaker. That was one thing you saw on film early on, just his ability to catch the ball at this highest point, one hand grabs. I think he caught one hander on me, and it was shocked me. I'm like, what? Like, what? I said, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Grabs your attention. And that's what he did early on. He grabbed a lot of veterans' attention in the way that he went about his business. He's a block. He can block, strong at the point of attack. And like I said, the ability to go up confidently and make those contested grabs.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of interviewing him one on one during training camp this past season, and then the very next day he had the injury, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, I felt so horrible. Moving on, one more guy still waiting in the wings. The reports are saying that the passing game coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars and former Indianapolis Colts offensive assistant Jim Bob Cooter will be the next offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. They're working on a deal right now. He has been around the league since he was in Indy back in 2011, from his stint 2009 to 2011. He's been with Kansas City, the Denver Broncos, the Detroit Lions, the Jets, and then the Eagles as a consultant back in 2021. And then, of course, as I said last year, with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looking at the Jaguars and how the Colts played them twice this past season, and they look much better on offense through the air in the passing game with Jim Bob back there as their passing game coordinator than they have in years past. You think so?
Yeah, I think he's had the opportunity to be around a lot of great coaches that I've also been around, and so I know it's a room of excellence and a room that offensively, over time has done well. You look at Doug Peterson and you look at Nick Sirianni, but also Shane Steichen, who they're bringing over, and I think you have to like those individuals in that circle in that community that he's been around, been able to learn from, and mature and grow. And now, he's afforded the opportunity to be able to lead a offense, that does have weapons and has the capabilities of being one of the best as well, in the league. So I like the addition, and I think I don't know much about him, but like I said, he comes from good company.
Jerraud, Jim Bob came into the Indianapolis Colts same year you did. Do you remember him?
Oh,
Yeah, I remember Jim Bob. He was when I got to the Colts, when I got drafted. I want to say might have been a GA at the time, and we used to give him a hard time about his name, Jim Bob Cooter. It just sounds like he's from, somewhere to where football is not even thought of. But I want to say he got a Tennessee background, Knoxville background. But I remember him having a brilliant mind then. I remember him spending a lot of time with Peyton Manning and learning and trying to soak everything in. And you can just tell that, he was going to ascend in the NFL because even though he was a GA, and if you know anything about GAs, they don't really got a voice like the other assistants. They're there to kind of help out where needed, but Jim Bob always had some type of role within the offense and some type of responsibility. So you knew when you walked in the room that he was going to ascend fast in the NFL, and it's pretty cool to see it. I want to say when Jim Caldwell went to the Detroit Lions, he hired Jim Bob to come with him. I could be wrong on that, but I want to say I remember that because when I was playing in Arizona, I think I remember all us talking in pregame and all those type things. But I think Jim Bob's going to do well, like you guys said. I mean, he's been around some great coaches. He's had some success, and he's another young mind, a young offensive mind that you see that's going on around the league now. It seems like everybody's trying to go the young route and continue to be innovative in how you approach and how you conduct an offense in the NFL. So I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, actually, back in 2014, he was hired as the quarterbacks coach for the Detroit Lions. And then the very next year, he became the offensive coordinator for 3 years straight over there in Detroit. So
they had success. Yep.
Yes.
Jim Caldwell had success over there. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, that is it for the news about the Indianapolis Colts and some of the coaching moves that's going on right now with the team. Appreciate your guys' thoughts and little insights about guys that we had talked about. Thanks so much. Any final words, Jerraud?
I do not. Off season, Rodney. What you doing today?
Yeah, Rodney. What's your plans today, huh?
Wherever life takes me, man. That's the ability about the off season. Time is like endless. I have no real set schedule in a sense. Maybe early on, but then after that, you just let the day go wherever it takes. Yeah, man.
You got a random meeting here and there, though, right?
Yeah, no football obligations, though.
Yeah, that's awesome. Get to spend some time with the family and stuff, man, and the people you care and love about. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Here, Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. I'm Lawrence Owen with my guys, Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod, and as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?
All right. I just realized when I look back, I was like, holy crap, Jim Bob came in same time Jerraud did. I didn't realize that. But yeah, he was more of a gopher pretty much, wasn't he, at that when he came in? Is that what a GA is?
No, I mean like GA. He always had a role. I think Peyton brought him to Indy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by gopher, right?
Like a do boy?
Yeah. Go do
I mean,
this, go do that.
some people, but not all GAs. Not the good GAs.
Oh, not the good ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know. So I was like,
They do get a lot of work thrown at them though. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's
They got to make sure all the computer stuff is set
Yep.
and done and all that. But I've seen a guy go from GA to leading a room, within a year. So,
well, I mean, the guy who was calling plays at the end of the year for the Colts was Frank Reich's assistant when he first came in. So yeah, you just move up through the system.
Yep.
Yeah, Parks
seen
Frazier.
a couple guys get their ops. Not as short as a year, but I've seen a few years, and then they'll get that op as a position coach, which is always good to see.
Yeah. You put your time in. I think that's why it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way with the Just Saturday thing. But oh well, that's in the past. We're working from here on to the future. All right, let's get on for. Is there, like I said, you guys cool with talking about quarterbacks and where they might go and stuff like that?
Yep.
All right. Let's get her started then. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Believe in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And ever since the NFL has ended, there has been nothing but speculation on top of speculation on top of speculation for every player in the NFL, whether you've got a massive contract going on right now or if you are just a free agent. When I say just, I mean you are a free agent and you're expected to go somewhere else possibly. But if you got a big contract, there's still speculation on whether or not you're going somewhere else, because that's what people like to do. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about quarterbacks and possible destinations. Where would be a good fit for some of these guys? Whether, they are technically a free agent, like a certain guy who got released by the Raiders, almost said Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders, or someone who is technically under contract right now, like say another quarterback over for Green Bay, right? Let's talk. Let's get into this a little bit. Jerraud, I'm gonna give you the floor first, man. You pick a quarterback, and you tell me if you think that they're going to stay where they're at or where they go, and where would be a good place for them to go.
Well, I think the main one that all the reports have been saying is, Derek Carr to New York. There's been reports saying that, they're telling him that he could possibly be a first ballot Hall of Famer and, trajectory is this and that, that I was reading. And, he already got released. So that might be a good fit for him with the struggles that they've been having. They need a gunslinger, somebody that can lead and throw the ball. They got a lot of good young talent. And I think that probably will be the best fit for New York is somebody like Derek Carr that, had a lot of success in this league, throw the ball for 4,000 yards every year seems like, got a good deep ball. And then when you look at the offense with the receivers that they got, the running backs and, just the weapons that they have, that can end up being a very competitive, possibly dangerous team. That was their main issue this past season was just the struggles from the quarterback position. And I think Derek Carr can fix that. I think that'll be a good opportunity and a good fit for him.
All right. Well, continuing on with the Derek Carr thing, I've seen a lot of people, news and guys like us sitting there talking about, certain teams because of certain cities, whether it be media, fans, whatnot, that certain quarterbacks wouldn't be able to handle that situation, right? Rodney, is that a real thing? Is that where where certain players can't handle playing in a big market team like say the Jets or the Giants or something of that nature?
Yeah, I think that does have a huge effect, on players, in the mental aspect, and being in that huge market, there's always criticism that will be there, that will exist, whether you wanted to or not. Places like Philadelphia, both New York teams, and elsewhere, but those are the three that stand out to me the most. And I've lived it for 6 years in Philly, and it's truly like you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. There's always a storyline or headline going on that a lot of writers are searching for, and it adds a great deal of pressure. And like just like anything else, man, pressure, it creates diamonds or it bursts pipes. And so it just all depends on your mental state, and how you're able to handle it. But being the quarterback, you're going to take a lot of the heat, but you're also going to get a lot of love, right? So for me, I'm thinking otherwise. Like, I'm always thinking positive. Like, man, look, I do what I need to do, I'm gonna be loved here forever. And so that's a mentality that you have to have, but you have to know what comes with the territory, of course. And I think for Jerraud, he's talking about Derek Carr. I'm going to go, another quarterback that I think could land with the Jets, and that's Aaron Rodgers. There's been a lot of speculations about him leaving, and I think his run may have come to an end in Green Bay, unfortunately. Even though he's still on a contract, and then you have the connection with Nathaniel Hackett that they're saying they hired to try to be that connector between him and Aaron Rodgers to bring some comfortability for him to come over. I think that was a strategic play, and so we'll see how it plays out. But I think A-Rod might find himself in New York, and I think he's somebody that can handle that pressure.
See, I don't know if I'm gonna agree. I do think he can play in New York, but I think him and the media would hate each other just off of how Aaron's been the past, I would say, couple years in the media, just from Green Bay standpoint. I mean, obviously he does the weekly show with Pat McAfee, and that's
but it could be a play.
It could be a play because we never know what Aaron.
Like strategic.
Yeah, no, it definitely could be a play. I can just see Aaron maybe having a bad stretch of games or something, and the media just ripping him, and he's not the type that's just gonna sit there and let the media rip him. He's gonna fire back, and it could just become one of them situations. I don't know though. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I see Aaron somehow, some way falling to San Fran somehow, some way.
Whoa.
That wouldn't be bad either. But yeah, I think he could find himself close to a studio, if you know what I mean. And that's New York and that's California. So like those two in itself, it works out.
Oh my! Well, if Aaron ended up in San Fran, what happens with Trey? Did they just keep Trey sitting there for a few years underneath Aaron?
I think they're looking at it like their windows right now. They've been trying with Trey and Garoppolo, the past few years, and unfortunately Trey didn't get his opportunity because he got hurt. But he was definitely going to have his opportunity this year. But I think they're looking at it from a standpoint of like, man, we got the weapons in place. We got a great defense, like our windows right now. And everybody knows Aaron Rodgers' window is right now as well. He's on the latter end of his career, so he don't have time to kind of build or, restart anything. He wants to go somewhere to where he knows he'll be a contender immediately.
You don't think that
what about Purdy?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, what about Brock?
You don't believe in Purdy?
I believe in Purdy, but at that same token, I think Purdy's trajectory could, I think he could end up being even better than what he's already is if he can sit and kind of watch a great one in front of him, because he didn't really get that opportunity to really watch somebody and develop and learn some of the things that, could possibly ascend his career as well. But Purdy might be fine, but I mean, we know he's having elbow surgery as well, so we don't know how he's going to respond, to that situation as well.
Well, how about this with Green Bay? If you're the Green Bay GM, you don't want to trade him inside the conference, do you?
Business is business for the right price. I think you'll do whatever you got to do, at the end of the day.
Yeah, at least it's not the same division. I don't think you want to go, but the conference is a little different than the division. I'm not trying to see him twice a year, I tell you that.
I hear you. Yeah. You don't want to see him in Tennessee, or something like that if you're a Colts fan. That's for darn sure. That's another big question. There's been a little talk about what's going to go on in Tennessee. And is Ryan Tannehill going to still be there? Are they going to go up and grab somebody else? And I have thought about, man, what if Ryan? I think Ryan Tannehill would be really good in New York. I really do. That's another situation. But with everything that's going on with the whole Derek Carr and the Jets, and they said the meeting and everything went great and all that. That'd be wow.
I think Ron Tannehill, there's just limitations there. And I think, New York is, like Jerraud said, is looking for somebody, a gunslinger. When you have the talent that they have on the outside and Garrett Wilson, Elijah in the slot, Elijah Moore, and the rest of those guys, then you need to find a quarterback who can get them the ball, and not only in the screen game or underneath routes, but also stretch the field, and put stress on your defense. So I think they're looking for somebody, who can fit that role and allow their playmakers to showcase their true abilities.
Okay. So both of you are in agreement that you feel like the Jets are going to go after a veteran, stable
Mhm.
quarterback rather than going after another young one like they have year after year after year after year.
I think so, just off of, I mean, and I think part of it is, like Rodney says, just that pressure of being in a big market city. You would want some type of veteran that you feel can handle what's going to be thrown at him. I mean, obviously, we saw with Zach Wilson that he didn't handle the media in a way that he should. It was a couple times he kind of threw his teammates under the bus, and that's part of the media asking you certain questions in a way that you might have to really think about what you say before you say it, because they will spin it in any type of way or any type of fashion that they can spin it. So I think you need a veteran quarterback that can just handle the youngness of that team. The leader of that team needs to be somebody that's established, somebody that's well respected, that the young guys can just follow their lead and follow their professionalism and all those type of things. Because if you put another young guy as your leader over there, it's just no telling, the results that you will get at the end.
Good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we got a certain thing called the franchise tag out here, and getting ready to be able to drop those on people. Here's the big question: we got two quarterbacks out there right now in the league that there's probably going to be at least one of them going to be tagged. All right, we got Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. We got Daniel Jones with the Giants. Let's start off with Lamar Jackson. He's been trying to deal with a contract extension for over a year now, and after what happened this past season, I am really curious to see how this all ends up playing out. What are your guys, Jerraud? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think you got to pay him, and you got to pay him, what he wants at the end of the day. I mean, you got a player that we haven't seen before that can do some of the things that he can do. From a running standpoint, and I think he's an underrated passer. He just don't get the credit, that other quarterbacks get when it comes to his passing. But if you take Lamar Jackson, from the Ravens, obviously we saw what they look like without him this year with the games that he missed. But if you got a whole season, you got to revamp your whole roster if you take him away, because they're built right now to fit some of the strong skill sets that he brings to the table. I think you sign Lamar Jackson, give him what he want, and you try to add some receivers that can go down and stretch the field and take some pressure off loading the box on him, to where he can kind of be the dynamic person that that we've always known Lamar Jackson to be. They got some good running backs in place. You're just missing one or two just good receivers that can stretch the field and cause some pressure on defenses. And not everybody just sitting back with all eyes on Lamar. So I think you pay him. If you don't, I think you're setting, I ain't going to say setting your franchise back, but you're going to have more work to do with your roster if you don't pay him and let him, or don't pay him and you trade him or do whatever you're going to do. But he might get tagged and they figure out a deal then. But I definitely think that Lamar needs to be the franchise guy going forward in the future for the Ravens.
Rodney?
Pay the man. He paid a man like
he different, man. It's just different on the field with him.
He's due league MVP. He's the leader, clear leader of that team, that organization. He's been in the playoffs. He's a threat, not only in the run game, but pass game. But I think what you do is, like, to Jerraud's point, you have to surround him with just a few more weapons, right? Have those conversations with him and include them in that discussion on what do you need to be successful, right? Him, the offensive coordinator, GM, like, what do you need to be successful? And so I think Mark Andrews, as though he's a great outlet and a great tight end, it's so easy to double team inside defenders. You need another threat on the outside to complement Andrews, but also the running game that they have. The effect of the running backs, but also the fact that Lamar Jackson can bring too. He's unaccounted for. And so, now you put true stress on the defense, right? Like, you're going to load the box and you're going to play, the run game, or you aim to stop our weapons on the outside. I mean, you saw in college, he has the ability to throw the ball down the field. That's their MO, run, play action, attack, take shots down the field. So I think he's very deserving of an extended contract and not a 1 year prove it deal again. Like, what more do you have to prove? You saw without him, what they look like, and with him, you ask any defender in this league, eight, what I'm saying, is circled on every single play.
Absolutely.
No
And like, it makes you change your scheme so much, man. Like, there's so much you have to prepare for. Like, I remember the first time we played against him, we implemented, new defense pretty much to
stop him.
to stop him. And so that's how special he is, man. He has that impact. And so any team will be lucky to have him, but I think he's a great fit in Baltimore.
Oh yeah, the Colts the last couple of years have played him twice, and both games the Colts were up by 21 at one point in the game, and Lamar Jackson brought them back and won those games either at the end of the game or in overtime. So it is definitely time to pay that man. He's going to get his money, whether the Ravens decide to give him the money or not. He'll get it from somewhere. I'll guarantee that.
They gotta do the right thing.
Yeah, I think they will too. Moving on, Daniel Jones definitely had the best. Yeah, definitely had the best year of his career this past season. It was top 10 in just about every quarterback statistical stat there is. But rumor is the man wants $45 million a year, and the tag this year is for him would be about 34. I don't know. I mean, the rumor is the Giants want to keep Daniel Jones. They want to keep Saquon and Jones. But I don't know if you can pay both these guys, the amount of money that both of these guys want. Jerraud?
I think he's going to get a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But I think it'll be like he's asking for 45, his tag somewhere between 34, 35. Maybe they meet somewhere in the middle. Because if that's what the market, says, that's just what the market, that's just what it is. And that don't necessarily mean that his play is worth, 40 million a year, 45 million a year, even though he's having he had a great year last year. But if that's the business side of it. But from Daniel's perspective, he has to understand, all right, we got Saquon up too. We're building something special. We made it to the playoffs. If I take a team-friendly type deal, we'll be able to keep Saquon and add some other pieces. So he got to kind of look at it from, like, what do I really want to do? Do I want to just cash out and get as much as I can, which I don't fault him. As a player, I don't fault you trying to get every single dollar that you can possibly get while you're playing. But, from, like I said, from his standpoint, he's going to make a ton of money regardless. And if he want to build something and get back in the playoffs, and if you look at that division, the Cowboys will still be there. Philly's going to be there for a long time. And you got Washington that's going to be there. And if he want to keep the Giants kind of ahead of schedule, I think he's going to have to take a team-friendly deal so they can get some other players in that building to help better their situation.
Rodney, you already gave us a little bit of your thoughts, but you want to expand on that a little?
Yeah, For me, I understand the market is the market, right? You can't get around that. And he had an incredible year, very timely for him as he's approaching free agency, and might deserve to get paid. But if I'm the Giants, man, there's a couple of things that I'm thinking about, and that's do I really want to invest long term when I haven't seen much of Daniel Jones and consistency there. And one key game you point to, right, is the playoff game versus the Eagles. And when they try to lean on Daniel Jones a lot more, how effective were they as a true passer? And then when you think about you paying now your quarterback, do you now adjust in the way that you utilize your quarterback for his health and availability, right? Because there's no way that you want your top investment to be sitting on the sidelines and put him at great risk, right? Daniel Jones, he's a bigger guy, but he has been very effective with his legs this particular season and in that Minnesota playoff game. But I think when you talk about him as a true passer, I think there are limitations there. And so you just have to figure out whether or not you've seen enough to make that sort of, pay him that amount that he's requesting, or are you a little more hesitant and reserved? And do you think about tagging him maybe for 1 year and seeing whether or not he holds true or not?
And a lot of times it'd be strategic when those numbers get thrown out there because, like, from your representatives, your agents, or whoever's running your business, you're not going to just come out and say, hey, we're looking for a team-friendly deal. You're going to throw out the highest number possible just to see if they're going to bite for one, but to also not to let them know what you're really thinking or what you really would take on the low end or whatever it may be. So that's kind of normal for me, I guess, to me, to hear like a high number like that, because obviously, we know that's coming from Daniel's representatives, and they're not gonna, sell him any dream short of that, just to throw it out to the media like that.
So and then you have to look at, sorry, before you go, and then you have to look at, all right, if you don't bring Saquon back, how does that rushing attack complement Daniel Jones
quarterback,
and to the quarterback? So, there's a lot to your point, right? You're asking for a great deal of money, but you have to know a key ingredient to your success is 26. And so if I'm Daniel Jones, I want to get paid, but I also know I need my guy.
And at that same token, from the Giants' perspective, when it comes to Saquon, been battling injuries the past few years. We know the limit. We know the shortcomings when it comes to running backs and the years that they have left. You already hear the chatter about Zeke, don't got much left in Dallas and things like that. So, when you're talking about Saquon, do you want to give him top dollar? Knowing like, hey, from the looks of it or the statistics or the analytics, whatever the word is I'm looking for, it don't look great. It don't look great far as the future of what you got left. So I think both guys are going to have to sit down and kind of come to some type of agreement with one another to, take deals to where they're going to get paid, make a lot of money, but you just might not be the highest paid at your position, which is fine. But, us football players, we got egos. And a lot of times when you're trying to get paid, you're trying to set a mark to where, I'm the highest paid, at my position and setting a bar, because say Daniel does sign for $45 million. Who's ever the next quarterback up is not taking nothing less than $45 million. So that's how it goes.
Exactly.
Sam Darnold's like, I want $45 million.
And you're looking at statistics and everything as you go into conversations and negotiations. That's real.
Yep. But at the same time, we talk about, Saquon Barkley having a little bit of an injury history and how, the longevity of running backs and things of that nature. I'll guarantee every single player, coach, and fan for the San Francisco 49ers is all good about what they gave up to get CMC, and what he produced over there this past season. So,
but to even say that, CMC went to a good situation, though. CMC didn't go to a team that, missing a wide receiver, a team that don't got a good defense, a team that don't got a good offensive line. CMC went to a team that was already one of the better teams in the NFL. So I think that move just helped him just because he hasn't been around that many great pieces, in his whole career, which that also helps your career and longevity as well.
Yeah.
I can play running back for a long time if I got a great offensive line.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because he was great when he was on the field with the Panthers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just the injury
Over
thing,
time.
Speaking of the Panthers, one last note that I'd like to talk about on this episode: the Carolina Panthers, right? Frank Reich. We got the quarterback sitting over there right now. Phillip Walker, Sam Darnold, Matt Corral. I mean, do you think they go after one of these? I mean, Frank Reich, I don't how much of it was Frank Reich when he was the tenure with the Colts of going out and getting a veteran quarterback every year instead of getting or was that, Ballard? Does Frank Reich have his eye on maybe an Aaron Rodgers or something?
No, I would if I'm Frank Reich or if I'm anybody in the Panthers organization that got a say in that, I'm trying to build through the draft right now just because I got plenty of pieces that I just don't have to be the team that I envision us to be or the team that I want us to be. So if I was to go get an Aaron Rodgers right now, Aaron Rodgers is going to be upset and calling people out in the media within 3-4 weeks of the season just because we don't got what he needs to, I guess, be successful or whatnot. So if I'm the Panthers, I got some young pieces. I got a couple good guys on defense that's doing their thing or whatnot. Got a couple, guys on offense that we can work with. It's just so much that they need right now that I don't think it's just one person that they're missing that'll take them over the hump. So if that's the case, I feel like, hey, if I'm Frank Reich, new coach, just got here, you're going to give me time to kind of build this thing up rather than, hey, we want to win the Super Bowl right now, which that's going to be everybody's dream and goal, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're like one player away from getting to that level. I think there are multiple players.
Well, I mean, you got, I don't know. I would think that maybe having, investing in a veteran quarterback while getting all your young pieces in other places through the draft, having that veteran quarterback to be that leader on the team, right? That might help.
I mean, look at the Indianapolis Colts 2011. We had veteran pieces and some young pieces when we went through that 3-13 year or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't think twice about going to get a veteran quarterback. It was Andrew Luck. Like, we're going through the draft. We're going to do this thing with Andrew Luck. And if you get the quarterback that kind of come in and I guess can be halfway of what you thought that you were drafting, you can put some pieces around him to where you can be successful enough and still make the playoffs and still be competitive and still do what you got to do as a team or whatnot. But I feel like if Derek Carr goes to the Carolina Panthers, they're still going to be the same old Carolina Panthers, in my opinion.
Rodney?
I think I don't know if you go for more of the, I guess, tier one, QBs, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. If you do have any interest in seeking anybody, somebody that just came to mind was, Heineke. He's a free agent this year, and there's no question what Washington is going to do right now over there. Now bringing over Eric B. and Carson Wentz, situation. So there's been reports about, them possibly, reviving Carson and allowing him to be the QB or, who knows. But I think that's somebody that you could probably bring in at a lesser cost, possibly, or, you ride things out with Sam Darnold and you try to work through him. And as Jerraud's point, draft and you build up. But they do have, DJ Moore over there as the receiver. Not sure who else is sitting over there, but, they have some pieces. I know Frank's probably, is going to be at it, already working towards building that offense, back up. I'm sure they have a plan of attack in mind, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And the AFC South is kind of wide open. Atlanta needs a quarterback. New Orleans is still,
they're all quarterback lists over there now.
Yeah, and NFC South is kind of wide open right now.
Yeah, and the departure of Tom Brady to Tampa. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's another free agent out there, Baker. Baker Mayfield, right?
Yeah, they're not going to bring him back. They got rid of him.
Yeah, well, I mean, where do you think Baker ends up going?
I don't know.
The South looks good, for availability for sure. But I don't know if it's going to be back with Carolina.
Like Rodney said, like a lot of teams have it to where it's like in tiers. Like it's tier 1 players, tier 2 players, tier 3 players. And you're going to try to, get the best that you can get initially. But after the dominoes start falling, you're kind of like, all right, yeah, we'll take Baker now, or we'll take, because all those guys have shown that they can, lead a team. They can start at quarterback. They can play on this level. So when you look at Baker, I think Baker would be one of those signings that might be in the summertime, a month or two out before training camp. Something like that, to where he kind of finds his team, finds his role, and go from there.
You think Baker Mayfield would fit in the offensive system with Tampa Bay? They're needing a quarterback.
I don't know what their offense is going to look like, though.
Yeah, Byron Leftwich left, so
yeah. I just don't know what they're going to look like. I mean, they got pieces. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you got Mike Evans, Godwin, and all these guys. They got some pieces over there.
Yeah.
But system is everything too. Coaching is everything too. So I'm just not sure what they're going to look like.
All right. Well, we're going to keep our ears to the grindstone, our nose to the grindstone, ears to the ground, I guess. I don't know, wherever, try to keep an eye on what's going on throughout the NFL. And we'll definitely have our opinions on everything as it happens. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lawrence Owen with Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?